How's it going, guys? Donovan here. In today's video, as I promised in the last video where I mentioned we had the new shocks, today we're going to be actually putting them on. So as you can see, the RT is behind me. We have our wooden ramps my dad just stapled together so I could get the jack under, and then of course the front tires are chalked. I realized that I still needed to film as I was jacking this light never worked, so I brought my own. So I realized I didn't start filming and I was about to start jacking up the car. I gotta loosen up the tires and stuff first. We're gonna do the rear first. So when we did the shocks, or no, when we did the springs like a year and a half ago, the rear was like by far the worst. Just wrestling the spring in. The shocks are way easier in the back. And then in the front, we just need to remove the springs off of the current struts and then put them back on. So it shouldn't be too difficult, especially since we've done that once already. And since we don't have to wrestle the spring, the two springs in the back. All right, so I kind of stopped filming, but the back is pretty easy to get out. It's pretty much just two bolts at the top up here on each side. And then one bolt on this side, I think was a 16. And then, or nut on this side was a 16. And then on this side, there was a spot for this 15 side. So now let's go back to the garage. I'm following the Eibach directions, and so now we have to tighten this guy down a bit. And here's the stock one. Looks pretty much identical, but probably is the same thing. Okay, so I didn't get too much filming in on, we did the back passenger side right now. That side went a lot quicker because we were obviously more familiar with it, but it really is just 3 bolts. And so there are 2 bolts that hold it to, like I said, the like top, you can't see back there. Basically the top behind the tire, and then one on like that subframe control arm thing. And the front requires a few more bolts. So I know there's obviously a large one here, one here, and then there's like 3 at the top that, like, when you go in from the engine bay, it secures it to the body up there. So these will take a little longer, and unfortunately I forgot to grab a spring compressor on my way home, but we're gonna at least disassemble this tonight, so that way it's pretty quick to put it back together in the morning. Okay, how's it going, guys? It is currently the next day, and it's very pretty and sunny outside. Awfully hot though. And so my dad and I made a good amount of progress tonight, disassembling the front end at least. We thought it was going to take the longest, and it actually ended up being extremely quick as well. I'll go over it a little bit, but we already have these Eibach shocks in, and the reason I kind of didn't film this was because we were in the moment, and we were just like, zoned in. So I didn't want to interrupt us by filming, but basically it's pretty easy to take the shock out. It's just, you remove, so this Eibach one actually comes with a separate nut right here. The stock ones, the nut is like welded in. So you just remove this guy, remove this. There's one nut on the side. There's 3 nuts at the top of the strut tower, and then you have to remove the upper A-arm as well so that you can pull this forward and pull the shock out. The scary part, of course, is compressing the springs. So I had to go to O'Reilly's and rent a spring compressor, and I should really just buy it since I've used it like 2 or 3 times already, but I'm not really going to give directions on how to use these because these are super dangerous, and I don't want to be held liable if something happens to somebody who took my advice on doing this. So be very careful if you use a spring compressor. They're notorious for being dangerous. Some people use a bunch of methods that don't involve the proper tools and then hurt themselves. Here's a mixture of tools I need to put away, but I highly recommend using some sort of impact. It just made life much easier. And of course you need to make sure that you have the correct impact. Like, these are not impact sockets, so make sure to get impact sockets. If you do have the impact sockets, it'll make your life much easier. So yeah, you can see first of all, you can see my socks in flip-flops. And then you have my stock struts here. The Eibach ones look pretty darn similar, but like I said, the Eibach ones don't have this nut welded in. They just have a separate one. Luckily, they provide you like an updated hardware. They also provide you the updated nuts for the top of these. So these are the old ones that are beat up and yeah, are starting to strip. So they give you all the new hardware for that. So going back to the car, the passenger side's pretty much identical. So you can see it has the Eibach logo on it now. Like I said, there are 3 bolts on the top, or 3 on each side. So under these covers here, 1, 2, 3, and then this is the bolt that you have to deal with when you're putting this, like compressing the shock and removing the shock and isolators from the strut. So it's not the worst thing in the world. Once again, you just got to be super careful. I wanted to film this little walk around really quick before I put the wheels back on and took it for a test drive, but my first impressions will probably be in another video. But yeah, so the RT, it has the Eibach Pro-Kit lowering springs as well as the shocks now. And so now that the spring rates match the shock dampening rates or dampening coefficient, it should handle a lot better and just be more responsive. So I'll let you guys know how that comes out. Anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Like I said, stay tuned for the actual review on these shocks after I drive them around for a week, have some fun with it, see how it handles, break them in, whatever. Drive them in LA City driving as well with all the LA County shitty road conditions. Thank you guys. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to click that like button and subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.